Let's see where they spot it.
He did not make that.
The Titans think they have stopped it. Let's wait. Allen tried to sneak. He got nothing, or so it appears.
They got it! They got it! They did it! They did it! Yes! Not yes! Not yes! Hell yes!
Okie dokie.
Come on
Welcome back. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Plan on Farm Bureau Health Plans for better coverage, better rates, and better customer service. They've been providing Tennesseans with a home field advantage for almost 75 years. Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, Jason Martin with you until the top of the hour. Joined, thanks to Farm Bureau Health Plans, by our friend Coach Mack, of course, of Titans Radio. Coach, what's going on?
Well, getting ready to play another big ball game. That's what's going on. I mean, you have something like that everybody's involved in emotionally, and you heard the call. That was purely organic. People are telling me that might be my Music City musical.
The Music City musical.
I was like, did he misspeak or does he know the mythology of the show?
Oh, I do know.
Yeah, right.
I do know, and I know the dude behind the glass too. So anyway, to me, that's the essence of the National Football League. We were talking about that it's the essence of the National Football League, and the atmosphere at that Monday night game was everything that it was built up to be. It was outstanding, and for it to come out like that. But here's the truth of it. Now you've got to get ready for another really good team on a short week with, some people missing. And so that's just what you live in the National Football League. You live for those moments, but you also understand the reality of having to get ready for the next moment.
Yeah, and I said this to Rhett yesterday. I mean, we knew this was going to be a really tough stretch of games. This isn't the end of it. It's the beginning of it. You couldn't have started out better than getting a victory, but it's not like it gets easier. It continues down this pathway. Like, you got to start stacking wins against some very talented teams, or at least in your division.
Yeah, well, that's just the way it is. And again, the coach in me, I mean, I got the lifelong coach in me, so I only look at this week.
Mm-hmm.
I could care less of what's coming up. But I look at this week, which is that you don't stack wins unless you get them when you got a chance to play them. And that's just the way it is, JMart. And this football team understands what's ahead of them this week, and that's another huge challenge. Last week was a big challenge. You found a way to win. That's all you need to do, guys. You got to find a way to win. And that's what they did during the course of that game because, I mean, it wasn't like, it was a runaway at all. I mean, I'm stating the obvious. But you got to find a way to win, J-Mart. That's what you got to do.
So Derrick Henry's stupid at this point. Like,
well,
stuff he's doing is nuts, but I wanted to get your thoughts on this because you've been around for as long as you have inside the league. Dan Patrick made the point a couple of days ago that he's out of his era almost because teams used to be geared up to stop a Derrick Henry-like attack, the kind of offense that the Titans run, but they're not anymore. It's like you're trying to stop the three in the NBA to stop Steph Curry, and here's Shaq, and you don't know what to do with him. And that as a result of that, the Titans have bet properly because they have a back that can do this, and defenses just aren't prepared. They're not what they need to be to stop him consistently.
Well, and that goes to doing what all the best organizations do. You play to your strength. You play to your strength, and you stay true to your strength, and regardless of what's going on around you, and that's very true. Because most of this, when you really look at it, see. You still got that, regardless of what era you play in, you still got the same number of gaps across the front. And you can still put numbers in those gaps. But I think to Dan Patrick's point, and I think to the point that you're trying to make, most people don't have enough patience, nor do they have the personnel to stay with a physical run game. That's the key. They don't, and if you do that, well, then defensively, and Les Frazier faced it last week. Mm-hmm. He tried to play it with 7 men in the box early on, but then you started seeing Milano and Edmonds. They moved up. I said it on the broadcast. Yeah. Now they're toe to heel. They're toe to heel as to where they're, at the second level. Normally, you're about 3.5, 4 yards off. They started getting toe to heel. It wasn't that he was pulling 8 up. He was just squeezing the gaps with the people he had. And then he started rocking and rolling the safeties. So you've got to be willing. The Titans are willing to play that kind of football. And so defensively, you've got to be willing to say, we're going to have to play this not only sometimes we can't just separate the score a little bit and expect them to go away from that because the Titans are not going to go away from that. Mm-hmm. For two reasons. First of all, that's who you are. Mm-hmm. That's what you do. Your offensive line is geared, to this. Even though we've got injuries, they're still geared to doing this. And the other thing that you don't go away from it for is this. Your running back, he can not only pound you, he can get explosives. I mean, he can break it open with explosives. That's the difference in this running back. That's the big difference. There have been bigger backs in the league. I mean, I've coached against them that could just pound you to death, and you'd be willing to rope-a-dope and absorb those blows. But when some guy can hit you for 65 and 70 and outrun everybody you have and run 22 miles an hour, then that's different.
Yeah, it is. And we brought that up earlier, Coach Mack, by saying, look, the run game is an understanding. You might get 2, you're going to get 5, but then you might bust one a long way. Like, that's the patience of this team. And when Jason brought up that quote from Dan Patrick, I was just like, maybe the league isn't ready for that, because what is this league right now, Coach Mack?
It's
passing.
It's spin it.
It's go. It's get down the field as quick as you can. So teams have gotten away. And I kind of correlated a little bit watching the college coach like Lane Kiffin go to a 3-2-6, coach. You're going to get gashed when you do that type of stuff. And the right running back against that team, they're going to lose probably the majority of the games because it's not built to stop a team that's got a good running attack.
Well, and here's Lane Kiffin's thought, and all of those guys. You see a lot of 3-2-6 now. I just got through doing coach to coach with Doug Matthews, so I watch all the Southeastern Conference tape. But here's the philosophy of the 3-2-6, and I don't know how we got into this, but I am now because I just love talking ball, is that if they score, your offense is geared to score quick. So just give me the ball back.
Yeah.
Just get me the ball back.
Yeah.
Well, that's not, look, as an offensive lineman in the National Football League, you tell me the mindset that the offensive line, when they know that you're going to run the football, you get into a mindset to where this is what we're going to do.
Yes, sir.
This is what we're going to do. And you tell me, I've never played offensive line in this league, but I'm sitting across from a guy that did it for 11 years at a high level. What would you rather do? Dig all of those cleats in the ground and go forward, or quick set and try to block all the different stuff they're bringing at you?
Coach Mack, spread them out, okay? Line them up, knock them down. And look, it would be in those points of the game where we're about to run it right here. I don't care. Like, when you notice you got the advantage, and the advantage is getting 2 bodies on one and getting to the second level. Most of the time, the linebacker's not going to want that. Like we said it earlier, and we had a listener laugh. He was like, that's a business decision. Yes, it is a business decision to hit the lineman and also hit Derrick Henry in the backfield.
Yeah, it's a decision you got to make early, too, because Darius Leonard found out if you're engaged with somebody else and you're like, I'm just going to peel off with one hand, that's going to end up being a highlight that you're not going to want to be a part of.
Well, and but that all goes into the mindset. And plus, Todd Downing – is staying the course. He's got the patience to call it, because you've got to be able to have patience enough to call it and stay with it, even if the score gets separated. Now, you can't let the key to it is you can't let the score get separated so far early that it takes you out of that element. Right. But still, my point being is this: with Derrick Henry, whenever you hand him the ball, I mean, first of all, those fans in the stands, they never sat down the whole game. Never sat the whole game. But when he touches the ball, people start to get up. Yeah. If they're not already up, because something's getting ready to happen.
So on the other side of the ball, too, there was a lot of growth, I feel like, this past weekend from the year I've been covering this team to watching it and everything else. And it was that defensive front. As depleted as that secondary was, and I'm sure you was thinking, we might have to get a wide receiver to play DB because they were down so bad. But you didn't notice the deficiencies of the secondary because of the front end. Explain, Coach Mack, how big is rush and coverage whenever they're working in a tandem together? If
it's married together, it's a beautiful thing to watch. If it's not in sync, it's really rough to watch.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you cannot separate one from the other. You cannot separate coverage from rush. You just can't. That's just the way it is. And it's not rush sack. It's rush pressure off spot, throw it off timing. That's what's important. The one big play that they had, what did he do? He escaped to his throwing hand and then throws one up, and all of a sudden, you've got the explosive down the field. And so that was really big. But to me, first of all, Harold Landry's been having a great year.
Yeah. Yeah, he has.
But the inside pressure was good, but getting Bud Dupree back helps too. And Bud still hasn't geared up completely like what Bud is. You played with Bud Dupree. I've vetted him. I know
in the shell right now. He's not there.
Not there, but he's coming.
Yeah.
He's coming. But that all helps, and it helps so much because it does. I've coached great defenses before that you can cover a lot of things up in the back if you're doing things in the front to give them problems.
And so you brought up a point about sacks, and we had somebody. Well, we didn't hear Bud name sack. I was like, no, you did. Remember the tip pass that was almost an interception? Like the sack thing is huge, and we love the numbers. The numbers are beautiful. The numbers honestly mean $1 million per. That's how you justify paying a guy sometime, okay? But you speak about the pressure that Jeff had, that Nico had.
Oh.
Those guys, I mean, that means a lot to the back end also, right, Coach?
Oh, my goodness. Danico Autry's a big addition to this team.
Yeah, he's been huge.
He really has been, JMart. I mean, he's a big addition to this team because he affects what's going on. And is it all perfect? No, and it never is going to be, but you can see it coming. But as I say, we've experienced two position groups this season with the Titans that have had an inordinate amount of injuries at one position, the offensive line, and now the secondary. Yeah. And so that's just what you're living with. But you have to find a way to overcome it. And so that's what this week is about.
So everybody's got tendencies, and you watch all the tape in the world, and I don't know who it was, which Titan. It may have been Vrabel. It might have been one of the players that said, we know he's got a tendency, he meaning Allen, to hold on to it a little bit too long. And so they took advantage of that. Watching the tape, what is Mahomes' tendency? What is the tendency?
Spin it right now. But here's what he does, Jay Martin. It's a very, very good football question for this week. Mm-hmm. He will hold it, but he holds it on the move. Yeah. He holds it on the move. He holds it with pocket manipulation. And the thing about Mahomes and Allen are different. They're both very similar in the fact that they can both run and they've got the arm to throw anywhere. But Mahomes is a more flexible thrower. Mm-hmm. In other words, he throws from different platforms with different launch angles with his arm, and he can make all the throws. He would be a major league all-star as a shortstop. Because he can make a throw from deep into as he goes out of the dirt into the left field, to first base. He's got that kind of throw. And the thing about him is he doesn't necessarily, he'll take the run. If you give him an open lane, he's going to run with it, but he's run slide, right now. But this guy is so dangerous because his players are so. I'm not sure that Josh Allen's receivers are as versed to the whole scramble mechanics as they are in Kansas City. Kansas City, they are orchestrated. When he starts to move, they're orchestrated where they're going to be. So he knows immediately where the route dispersion is going to be off of the primary route concept when he starts to move, either to his throwing hand or away from his throwing hand. The throw that he made it to Mecole Hardman, the game that we beat him. Remember that one? Yeah. He's backing straight up. Well, Hardman saw him, got into his line of vision, and then he started backing up a little bit. So it's all orchestrated. So that's a challenge.
Yeah, that's where Tyreek kind of eats a lot as well, because he'll just be there. It's like, oh, well, you've got him, but how long can you defend him at his speed? And it's like eventually it's like he just has a knack to know, and obviously you're just saying right now it's orchestrated. He'll release again, and then all of a sudden he's wide open down the field for a huge chunk play.
JMart, you hit it exactly right, and that's what I say. They practice this. It is orchestrated just like defensively. You practice plastering. You practice. You put someone in at quarterback on the scout team that could run around, can move and throw, and then you say, what you have on the script is this is a plaster play. So front, let them go, and then everybody else plaster downfield. It all has to be practiced. But when adrenaline's running, the game is going on, then it's just whoever's able to execute it the best at the moment.
Coach Mack is just taking me down to my my flag football practice days yesterday, man. I'm telling him, look, the deep pass is hard to complete. In the NFL and high school and college, y'all better be quarterback friendly and come back to the ball. That's basically all you're telling right now, Coach. Even in flag football.
Yeah, well, and what you have to do is, talking the offensive side of it, be your quarterback's friend.
Yeah.
Be your quarterback's friend. And here's what you don't do. And what when I'm coaching defense, I want the offense to do this. Don't stand still and watch him.
Oh, my God.
Don't stand still and watch him move around. And
my God.
Look, this group is as good. There's two groups, and they both come from the same, if you think about it, the same tree. There's two groups of quarterback and receiver that, when you watch it, when I watch all the tape that I watch and see it, that are really good at it. Favre with his guys, really good at it. Well, Andy Reid. Okay, right there. And so Mahomes and his guys, really good at it.
Andy Reid. Speaking of friends, one of the best friends that Patrick Mahomes has on his team, Kelsey.
No, good grief.
What do you do against a guy like that other than say we try to contain him?
No. You have to understand. You have to understand that he's always a viable option, number one. And you have to understand that sometimes he is option number one. And so, depending on down and distance, depending on the chains that you are defending, you just got to know, because that's where he's looking.
Yeah.
That's where he's looking. And we always talk about quarterbacks that have confidence in their guys making combat catches. Well, Kelsey, nearly every catch he makes is a combat catch, just because of the position that he plays and where he goes. So it's a constant. It's a constant threat. The best thing you do is what they did in that game up in Kansas City that one year, is knock him out.
Nah. Football's a brutal game, Coach Mack. With that understanding.
Well, the thing that look, I'm not promoting violence.
I get it.
But it's a violent game.
Yeah.
Just bottom line.
The decision to go for it on fourth.
Yeah, the correct decision.
No, I agree. I mean, analytics gave you 1% more chance, but even not even thinking about that, I immediately thought, I think you go for the win on the road, the way that they're having trouble stopping the run game. And Josh Allen was 9 of 12 on quarterback sneaks in his career on fourth down. He's exactly the kind of quarterback you want for that kind of a moment. It just didn't work. But the one thing I will say, we talked about tendencies.
Yeah.
Tennessee has a tendency to do that to teams on the goal line, get penetration, and they seem to play that very well.
Let's go through that play. Let's go through that whole scenario, JMart. First of all, they had two timeouts. All right? You've got a 6'5", 240-pound quarterback. You have less than half a yard to make. All right, so you've got to figure. I don't even know what analytics says, but I just know what you're looking at it and the success you said he has. Now, the Titans sold out to stop the sneak. You saw them stem. They stemmed to what we call goal line gaps. They stemmed from it. They stemmed from shade to gaps. They stemmed from shade to gaps, and the middle linebacker was ready to defend the jump. And the reason that on that call, I never step on Mike Keith, but I knew that it wasn't good for this. And he's the professional, and he's right. You got to wait till the official makes the call, or you're going to be wrong. But, I was Jeff Fisher's eyes in the sky for 12 years, and I know this, and I know officials, and I know how this game's officiated. Those kind of calls are called horizontally. They're called from the line judge and the side judge. Yeah. And so if they see any kind of a forward movement, the umpire and the referee, they can't call those plays. Right. They can't call them because they're not positioned to. But when I saw that quarterback go flat, it was over.
Yeah.
When he went flat, it was over. And to me, I watched it back and forth, and again, I'm going to ask Les Frazier sometime because I know Les very well after the sting of this thing wears off for him. I will ask him, because to me it looked like two things. We stemmed into the Titans stemmed into gap defense. The left tackle comes down, and now all of a sudden he's in his lap. But to me, Josh Allen, he looked like he started to go forward, and then he thought, it's caving in on me. It looked like he started trying to want to jump, all right? And that's when his foot went out from under him, and all of a sudden the tackle's in his face, and it's locked. It's done. I mean, it's game over. And so that was a huge play. But the Titans, and as you said, you've got to play percentages. But if you're going to stop a sneak, you got to sell out to stop the sneak down there. The issue with that is, and I've called defenses for a long time in this league, the thing you're nervous about is, I'm selling out to stop this. All he's got to do is pull it and hit the edge. And
nobody there.
And it's locked. So that's just the way the game is. You make a choice, you go with it, and when you win, it's great. Everybody's celebrating. The fans went nuts. I went nuts. The whole thing goes, that's the edge you live on in the National Football League, both as a coach, as a player, and really as a fan base, because that fan base was in it.
And it's so hard, too, as an offensive line perspective. That gap blocking on a tight goal line is so hard because the angle's the defenders.
Thank you.
And Jeff had the angle. There was nothing. It sucks. There's nothing worse than the cutoff.
Nothing worse than that. Nothing better than a win over a really good football team. Now another one's coming in Sunday. It's gonna be fun, Coach.
Yeah, and it's a huge challenge. But here we go. That's why we're in it, right?
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Guys, you're the best. See you.
Healthcare coverage. Farm Bureau Health Plans, like an extra set of pads when you need them the most. They've been protecting Tennesseans since 1947. I had a question asked to us in the Zone chat about Tyreek Hill. We'll address that when we come back. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Coming up today on Blaine and Mickey.
Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are rolling into Music City. Jay Binkley